the melody? Good. Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram.
Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram.
All right, we are not in a funeral procession. I mean, nobody's dead as yet. So this is where we are going to find Sita. So, it's an adventure. So, some excitement. Okay? I'm not asking for devotional things like that because I can't demand that of anyone. I'm not qualified to do that. I know most of you are devotional. Our excitement, please, little more excitement. Yeah. Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram.
Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram.
Jai Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram.
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 Jai Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram.
Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram.
Jai Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram.
Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram.
Jai Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram.
Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram.
Jai 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 Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram.
Jai Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram.
Thank you. Did you feel good? Does it feel good? Yeah? Okay. So Hanumanji is chanting the names of Sitaram. Therefore, his is very eager to reach his destination because Sita is not with Ram. So he's very eager. Somehow bring them together. So as he's passing over the ocean god, Samudra Dev, he is observing this. Who is this? Because this was practically the first flight that he was seeing in so many years. Which airlines is this? What is this Hanuman Airlines? Does he have permission to, this flight path? And then he realizes, oh, he's serving Ram. Ram is the son of Dashrath. Oh, one of the ancestors of Dashrath Maharaj, King Sagar. He benefited me. Today, I am glorified of my expansive existence. These vast waters that are so very huge in quantity. I am able to manifest that because he gave me that facility. Today, one of his descendants, Ram, needs help. Therefore, I should try and assist. So within his waters, within the ocean, he had given shelter to a living mountain. The name of the mountain is Mainak. Mainak had taken shelter under the ocean because he was being pursued for his wings. Mainak had wings. And these wings, they were the object of a certain personality's collection. That person wanted to collect off the wings of mountains, especially living mountains. Wanted to cut them off. So, to preserve his wings, he came looking for shelter, but he couldn't find shelter anywhere. Finally, took shelter under the waters of the ocean. And he was hidden there. But now, millennia had passed. No longer was there danger for flying mountains, for living mountains. But still, he liked his new abode so much that he stayed right there. But today, Samudra Dev came up to Mainak mountain and said, rise up. Mainak was a golden mountain. And his sides, the mountain face was full of various kinds of parks and trees and forests and animals and honey flowing from the trees and so many luscious fruits. So Samudradev asked him, the ocean god asked him, rather ordered him, rise up and offer a resting place called Hanuman. And all of a sudden, Hanumanji found a mountain in his path. He said, okay, this is interesting, but then I have nothing to do with the mountain. Let me just fly over it and reach the abode of Ravan, Lanka, as early as possible. So Hanumanji tried to rise above the mountain, but the mountain rose more. It speaks, rising higher into the sky. Hanumanji became a little concerned and he said, who are you? Why are you obstructing my path? And Mainak spoke up. The golden mountain took a form, and in that form stood on its very peak and said, I am Mainak. I want you to take this exit to this rest area. Take a snack, break, You may want to use the washroom. And once you have stretched your legs enough, you may continue on. So Mainak offered his facilities. He offered him, he offered him gold, and he offered him jewels, and he offered him fruits, and he offered him resting places, he offered him waterfalls. He said, all this is for you. Enjoy, and it's all free of cost. Your stay here has been totally sponsored. Hanumanji said, no, I don't have time. How is it possible for someone, especially like, it is not that Hanuman had a bank balance and he had several accounts in Switzerland or with Bank of America. This was an opportunity for him to make something for himself on the side, He could have picked up a few gold nuggets and sent it back by UPS delivery. I mean, who would come to know? And how would it be wrong? All he was doing was take some rest. So when we start off on a journey, especially in spiritual life, immediately there are benefits that are offered to us. And most of us have this experience. Oh, I feel peaceful now. And I had a problem in my business. And now my business is doing well. I'm making a lot of money. And there would be so many quarrels in our family. Now everyone is very happy. And I had this digestive problem and my stomach is well. Now I can eat whatever I want. The pain in my neck is also gone away. So many ways we receive benefits. Have you experienced that? Or, if you don't receive those benefits, then we look searching for another mountain that can sponsor those benefits for us. So in spiritual life, the first returns that is offered to someone is material benefits, enjoyment. Yeah. Previously, I could not focus on my job. Now I focus so very easily that I am doing 2 jobs. I make more money now. This spiritual life is really amazing. So many ways we can be benefited. And many times we very naively, in a naive way, because we are so, I won't say innocent, but naive basically, we are naive. We consider that this is the product of my efforts in spiritual life, and therefore I should enjoy these benefits. And hence we take the exit way and we sit down in the rest area, and after some time we make the rest area our home. We build a house there, we will have a family live there, and we enjoy in this new facility. And who do we give credit to? In India, in Hindi we say, "Sab upar wale ki deen hai." Everything has been given by the Supreme Lord. I did not ask for it. I was simply chanting some mantra. I was simply doing some practice of spiritual life. All this came. Now obviously, if I don't accept it and don't enjoy it, it would be insulting to God, right? And we spent an entire lifetime in the rest area, simply enjoying the material facilities that are offered because we are rendering service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to the Supreme Lord, to Lord Ramchandra, because we are offering service. Material nature wants to assist us. She wants to give us benefits. But these benefits can be obstacles. Not can be, they are. They are obstacles because we are naive. We are not trained to handle these benefits. We become enamored by the material possessions that we receive, and we become lost in our spiritual practices. Material allurements are so powerful. We can never ever imagine how powerful they are. See, first challenge is procrastination. We never start off. We just procrastinate. We tell everyone, hey, I like spirituality, I'm spiritual, but a good thing should always begin with, should always have an auspicious beginning. Today was really bad. Tomorrow is when I'll start. For material enjoyment, today is the best day. Why postpone that which can be done today? And when it comes to spiritual practices, why postpone something for tomorrow which can be done the day after? That's what Mark Twain said about procrastination. He said, why try and postpone something for tomorrow when you can do it the day after? Material elements. They have a powerful magnetic attraction for conditioned souls. Souls had a condition to dreaming about material facilities. You see, we always dream about material facilities. Today I have this, tomorrow I'll add 2 more to it, the third day I'm going to have 4, then I'll invest that further, and by the end of the week I'll have 8 of it. Some call it planning. Many of us, we fall into this trap and we become conditioned. We become dependent, we become addicted to it. When planning, which is a tool to be used, becomes an addiction, we never realize. Now, we are addicted to make 8 into 16 and 16 into 32. Give me more, give me more, give me more. Sometime back, maybe a couple of decades ago, I saw this interview of a person who was extremely rich, and he was asked this question: you have so much wealth. What do you desire now? He said, more wealth. In India, where I come from, there is a saying, wealth attracts more wealth. So if you are poor, you will always remain in poverty. As soon as you find some wealth, naturally it has this powerful magnetic pull. It attracts more wealth. They say, सोना सोने को खींचता है. How powerful are material allurements? Insanely powerful. Immensely powerful. There was once an extremely successful lawyer, had made tons of money and wanted to make more. So he got this new car, a new BMW, and he drove down to his workplace. His associates and he, they had this office space. So he goes and parks his new BMW, and in the rush of the moment, because he really wanted to show it to his associates and see their eyes become green with envy, so in the rush of the moment, he got off on the wrong side of the car. So he opened the door, and right at that moment, a taxi which was coming at good speed, it came and crashed into the door, and the door was pulled off its hinges and it fell off some distance off, 15-20 feet off. The taxi driver sped away. So the lawyer was shocked. For a couple of moments, he didn't realize what had happened. He was simply staring at his car and at the door. This was his new car. And he was about to show it to his fellow associates. And now the door was lying like 20 feet away. And then, the blood started rushing to his brain, and that is when all the emotions came forth. His face became flushed with anger. Then he found his voice. And he started shouting, calling out like in anger, and such expletives he used. You cabby, you this, you that. But the cabby was already gone. He saw it disappear down the street. He knew he couldn't do anything. So then he took out his phone and called up. Who do you think he called up? The police. So the policeman comes. And he's like, hey, what are you doing? You have to find this man, this criminal. Just see what he has done to my car. The policeman said, sir, please calm down. It's not your car that... What? My car? You are saying I should not be concerned about my car. Do you know how much this has cost me? It has cost me a fortune. And now who's going to pay for this? It will take so much of money to repair, to buy a new car. Do you even know? Find that criminal for me. Alright sir, we'll do that first. At least give us some information, some description of the taxi. Did you see the driver, the registration plate? He said, all I remember is that it is yellow. And this is like New York City, sir. Sir, this is New York City. Do you know how many cars are yellow? Yellow cabs? But please, you should not be worried about the car. He said, what? I should not be worried about it's my car. I said, sir, please, be worried about yourself. I said, what? Sir, look at yourself. And then the lawyer looked at himself. And his arm was gone. His arm was still on the door that he was opening up. The cab had ripped away the door and his arm too. And he hadn't realized that because he was only concerned about the car. And when he notices his arm gone, he says, oh my God! My Rolex watch is also gone. I found this story and I found it helpful, and therefore I wanted to narrate it. But the whole idea is, one is ready to undergo bodily suffering just so that one can have material achievements. More than life do we value material things. It is a fact, it is true, we know it for a fact, and we have no idea how to deal with it. I mean, we can analyze and sit down and say, yes, ultimately, this can't give you happiness, right? Someone did say, money can't buy happiness, isn't it true? Is it true? Can money buy happiness? Well, at least the saying says that it can't. So money can't buy happiness. At least it makes poverty tolerable. Isn't it? So we agree, money can't buy happiness, but at least it makes poverty a bit more comfortable. That's a nice way of saying, hey, I don't buy into what you're saying. Yeah? So, how did Hanumanji reciprocate or respond to this? Could be very useful for us. Hanumanji said, since you have been sent by the ocean god, and I have a lot of reverence for him, and since you want to offer some service unto me because I am a servant of Lord Ram, I will accept your service. And he gently placed his foot for a fraction of a second on the mountain and then jumped off, continued on. Indicating that by this gesture, I have accepted your service, but please forgive me, I don't have time to rest. I have to go on. And Mainak, when he saw Hanuman flying off, he was so much overwhelmed by his dedication. He had tears in his eyes, and he says, and he offered him all blessings and benediction. May you be successful in your pursuit, in your mission. May your mission impossible become possible. Directed by Sri Hanumanji. There should be a new movie, Mission Possible. Directed by Hanuman. So we'll stop here. So Sri Rama Navami is a very auspicious occasion where we not only remember Lord Ram as to, what his story is, the summary of his story is, but also try to understand. It's a vast epic, a huge epic, and there are so many narrations in that. Unlimited narrations, interactions of Lord Ram, so many personalities, and each one has an emotional angle to it, where you can feel emotions of love and devotion, and has a symbolism to it also, where you can take lessons from it. Both are important for us. Many of us may simply take the emotional aspect because it seems easier to handle. Unfortunately, we don't realize that the emotional angle is much more difficult to handle because it deals with devotion. What is easier to handle is the lesson aspect, the lessons that can be drawn from the life, the teachings, the pastimes of Sri Ramchandra, the Supreme Personality of God. And when we learn our lessons properly, then the emotions become easier to handle, not just for a moment, a day, but for an eternal lifetime. And to have emotions for the Supreme Lord is what is our natural state of existence. What kind of emotions? Of love and service. Savai pumsam paro dharma yato bhakti radhokshaje ahaitokya pratihata yenatma suprasidati. That which teaches one to render unmotivated and unrestricted loving devotional service unto the most lovable object of all, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is what keeps the living entity always happy and satisfied. And this practice is known as Krishna consciousness. And the basic tenets of Krishna consciousness is to chant the names of the Lord, to remember the activities and the pastimes of the Lord, to offer our existence, beginning with what we eat and what we do, our activities and our necessities that we need, first make an offering of it unto the Lord. We subsist on food, so we prepare nice preparations and offer it to the Lord. And then we accept it as His mercy. We chant the holy names of the Lord because when you are wanting to fall in love, then it is important to know the name of the beloved and to regularly chant that name. That is why we chant the names of the Lord. And this chant is in the form of a mantra. It purifies the mind and the consciousness too. That's an added benefit. So, if it is alright and if you feel like it, we would suggest that you could take up to the practice of chanting this Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Have we heard this mantra before? How many of us have heard this mantra before? Okay. Yes, thank you. So, would everyone feel comfortable making it a regulated practice? Like, let's say every day chanting this mantra. Let's say a couple of minutes, like 10 minutes to half an hour, as it suits us, but regularly, every day. Like medication, you take it as medicine, regular dosage. And please, cook wonderfully, very delicious, nutritious food, offer it to the Lord, accept it as prasad. Say grace. We say grace by chanting prayers that glorify prasad. There's one prayer, Maha Prasade Govinde Namo Brahmani Vaishnava. Salpa Punya Batam Rajan Vishwashal Neva Jayate. This is a very exotic prayer. For further reference, please log on to ISKCON.net, ISKCON website. Let us reinforce our belief or our thinking process through reading scriptural books. The Bhagavad Gita as it is, the Sri Ramayana, Srimad Bhagavatam. It reinforces our thoughts, the way we think. Or let us find new food for thought. Not just the old, let's say, ideas that we have heard ages back. Like in India, common is work is worship. That's an age-old idea. Let's see if there's something more to explore in the Bhagavad Gita. I mean, obviously, if that was only there, then why have 700 verses in the Bhagavad Gita? Just be done with one line. So if there are 700 verses, there must be other ideas to explore. Let's do that. Find new food for thought. And whenever possible, please come together, congregate together and have discussion. Because such exchanges allows us to develop our personality in a wholesome way. By sharing, we get to learn much more and we develop in a healthy way. Wholesome development. So I sincerely wish all of you a very healthy, happy life. And I pray, as the scripture says, Sarve Sukhino Bhavantu, let everyone be happy. And my sincere request is, please try and follow in the footsteps of Lord Hanuman as we discussed today. Basically, one, if we have some qualities, we should understand that they are gifts bestowed upon us, be grateful for it and be humbled by it. In that mood, we really use our power, we use the energy, the facility that we have for our own upliftment rather than corrupt our consciousness. We should not become proud of that which has been bestowed upon us. And when that mood is there, like Hanumanji has taught us, jump off the cliff in search of Mother Sita, and thus Lord Ram will be pleased. Let us go beyond our comfort zone. However, let us do it in a way where we help ourselves and not harm ourselves. Let us do it in knowledge, not in ignorance. And if we receive some material facilities in return for our tapashcharya, in return for our austerities, or in return for our sincerity, let us not be bewildered by it, waylaid by it. Let us be focused on the task. Use it, respect material facilities. At the same time, be focused on self-realization, understanding who we are and what is our connection with the Supreme Lord and His creation, and thus serve both in knowledge of the Supreme Controller and His controlled creation. In that knowledge, let us render service and be happy. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So, if there are any comments, or if there are any inquiries, any questions, we can take them now.
This is an opportunity to ask any questions. As you can see, you have any questions, Ram?
Hi Guruji, this is Dilip. My question is that, in Hinduism there's so many different mantras and different ways of, following the path of spirituality. I often think that, I've started a path, it takes 1 hour, half an hour, 2 hours in my daily life, and now if I build another half an hour routine, how am I going to accommodate that with the time, And I know, there's answers to that I should get up more early or try to make time for it, within the daily practices. But I just want to know, how best we could, follow this path by just finding the right time and positioning the stuff in prioritization.
Hello, Dilip. Thank you very much for your question. I'm so very happy to hear that you could be having a path already in your life, and that's very good. If it keeps you inspired, it keeps you focused, please continue that path. Because that is what it is. Krishna is a very multifaceted personality. He is like Mount Everest. So there's a south face, there's a north face. And all of us are like mountain climbers. So we can try and reach the peak, whichever way, where our village lies or where our base camp is. Yes? But then sometimes the south face can be dangerous also, because that's where the wind has more velocity. Somehow, I think it's the south face of Mount Everest that is more dangerous. Very few have been able to make it climbing on that face. It's the south face of Mount Everest. The other faces, yeah, you do climb up the mountain, but then people feel that where was the challenge? Yeah. So then, one is, if we are trying to achieve the Supreme Lord, then obviously whichever process has been recommended according to different spiritual teachers, each is potent. But it has to be reaching unto the Supreme Lord. It cannot go to some other person who we imagine to be the Supreme Lord. Yeah? Yanti deva vrata devam pitrin yanti pitrin vrata pitri yanti pitrin vrata bhutani yanti bhutejya yanti madhyaji yanti gatopi maha. Those who worship the forefathers, that is what they will attain, pitri yanti. Yanti deva, those who worship the demigods, they will attain the demigods. Deva vrata. Bhutani yanti bhutejya, those who worship ghostly spirits, that is where they will go, to the land of ghostly spirits. And madhyaji yanti, Yajopi Mam, and those Yajopi Mam, those who worship me, will come to me. So the path that we are following, the goal should be clear, and it should be established that the goal is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if the goal is not the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then we may add to that which we already have. Yes? So that should be clear first of all. So if it is a Supreme Lord, then fine. Right. Then the second point to be considered is it important to reach the peak or which way you reach the peak? That we may have to define. If it is a peak that you want to reach, then, well, if there is a much more safer way, we may want to go for it. Or if there is a much more comfortable way, we might want to go for it because we want to reach the peak. So if on the south face there is no wind blowing, well, we'll reach it comfortably. But the chances of the wind blowing there are much more. Similarly, various mantras are powerful at different times. When I say powerful, it does not mean they are less potent at other times. It means they are specifically powerful then. They are always powerful, but especially at that moment, somehow or the other, they become specially powerful. So in the present time and age, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the special power. Iti Shodashakam Namanam Kalo Karmashanashanam. Brahma tells to Narada in the Kalishantana Upanishad. Iti Shodashakam Namanam Kalo Karmashanashanam Nata Paratulopaya Sarva Vedeshu Trishyate. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. That this 16-worded mantra is specifically recommended for this age of Kali Yuga. So there are other mantras which are also recommended, but since this has been specifically recommended, this is a discount sale. So anyone and everyone without any qualifications or with qualifications can take up to this process and easily achieve. So this is like the interstate basically in Kali Yuga. This interstate has been built. And there are the internal roads also. But then there are different traffic lights on those roads. Various kinds of rules and regulations that are there. So we have to stop at each norm, at each regulation, perform it, then go ahead. If you take the internal roads. If you take this interstate, all traffic lights are done with. All we have to do is keep the speed limit. Be within the speed limit. That's the only norm there. Yeah? So the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is like that. So hence, we may want to start doing it for some time to at least realize whether it is interstate or not. Sometimes you come onto a road that is really wide enough, wide lanes, but you still find traffic lights on it. And we start going, is this an interstate? So we will hit the city limits now. We are going to come into the city, so the interstate also has. Yes? So we may want to confirm that. So for some time we may start off with just 5 or 10 minutes. And if you find it is interstate and things are really going well, that is when we may find time to do this additionally also. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hare Krishna. Any other query or comment?
When Hanumanji first was on top of Mount Mahindra, was he trying to travel at the speed of light? Because that's the only way that he could be, the time could be stopping and everything else would be frozen.
He wasn't traveling as yet. He was just gathering all of his energy. He was trying to bring in all that he had and focus it on his destination. So that itself was so very powerful that practically everything stopped. In the sense, everyone was amazed to see him not trying to gather all of his energy. They had never seen a phenomenon like that. So that is why the Ramayana describes that everything practically froze at that moment. The only thing that was moving or being observed was Hanuman. So maybe it's a little poetic in description also, just to emphasize how Hanumanji was preparing himself. At the same time, it could be a real time event too. Alright?
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, Guruji. My name is Kishore. Thank you very much for visiting Omaha. Not many people from India get to visit India and visit Omaha. Thanks for sharing your knowledge on this auspicious day also. You briefly answered my question, but if you can go a little bit more deeper into it, there are a lot of paths to spirituality, and ISKCON is one of them. I'm originally from Bangalore, and I used to live pretty close to the ISKCON temple in Bangalore. I used to love to visit that temple. It's a beautiful place. So there are a lot of paths we can take, and one thing I've heard is whatever path you take, you try not to experiment or try to do too many paths. Stick to one belief and try to follow that particular path. What is your opinion on that?
Well, first of all, let me say hello, Kishore. We are so very happy that you are here, and I am also very happy to meet someone from back home, Bangalore. Yes, our temple at Rajaji Hill is indeed very attractive, and anyone who has been to Bangalore definitely speaks of the temple at Hare Krishna Hill. And I think it is a bit into the evening, so I accept your greetings as good afternoon. I'm sorry I went on so late. Yes, definitely as intelligent beings we understand that there are various paths and they have certain core principles and certain details. There may be a few things extra or a few things less. But the details do matter to us because that takes up our time and energy. Hence, we may not be able to give our time and energy to many paths. So that is right, you are correct in making that statement. And definitely that is also what has been advised by the previous spiritual teachers, that we may want to dedicate ourselves to one path. And that is the whole point. The whole point is that we have to at least dedicate. Many times, as I said, the first thing that keeps us in inertia is we don't take off really, because we analyze, and at the same, but practicing it for some time takes an effort, right? So we should do that. And if we are doing it, and if we have been doing it, we have been following a particular path, then the path that ISKCON recommends is not the ISKCON path. It is a path that has been offered by Lord Brahma. Specifically to Narada, when Narada made this inquiry, he asked Brahmaji, specifically in Kali Yuga, considering all the lack of amenities and the sheer lack of amenities. Kali Yuga is rampant with declining potency of material facilities. That is Kali. Manda samanda matayo manda bhagya ubadrita prayana alpayushya sabhya kalavasmin yuge janaha manda samanda matayo manda bhagya. Everything is manda, reducing. Intelligence, physical prowess, our ability to put in time and energy, all this is reducing. And also, unfortunately, our, let's say, we have a jinxed providence too, jinxed destiny in Kali Yuga. Manda bhagya. Constantly quarreling this, and with all these facilities decreasing, we are constantly always in the mode of quarrel. Pick up a fight, pick up a debate. So in such a situation, Naraji said, how is it possible for people to practice anything where they initially prep themselves? Because just to prep themselves, they need, for meditation or for knowledge, they need clarity of thought, they need clear conscience, let's say purified consciousness. That is what the other processes expect. They expect that first of all, as in India they say, "Doodh ka dhula hona chahiye." First of all, you be pure, and then you pick up a mantra that can take you from the material platform to the spiritual platform. So Narad Muni is asking him, how can we expect everyone to do that? There may be a few people who are capable of doing that, but then does that mean that in Kali Yuga only a few people can make it, only a handful of people can make it, the rest of humanity is doomed? And that is when Brahmaji said no. He said, wherever, whatever, in whichever situation one is, whether one is qualified or unqualified, if one can remember Lord Vishnu through the chanting of this mantra, then one can achieve the same destiny as was achieved in previous ages. So Narad Muni said, is that it? I mean, no going to the Himalayas, no going to the forest, no surrounding of oneself with forest, with fires, like no, letting your hair grow into matted hair, things like that. None of that. He said no, none of that. It doesn't mean that knowing proper pronunciation, because then the mantra will not be effective. He said no, none of that. Because in Kali Yuga, this cannot be expected. We cannot expect people to have that capacity. And hence, this is where we may fail to achieve our goal if we practice the other paths, because they demand that we be very particular in our practice. And then the mantra will actually bring us to a platform where the